Games are getting worse but more expensive, AAA has just become over-monetized, aggressively manipulative slop, and what's worse is nowadays games are either released half-finished or not even half-finished at all. And what's worse is, no matter whether your studio makes great games or not, that studio gets burnt to the ground. And what's crazier is that our once beloved IPs as gamers are nothing but a former shell of themselves. The gaming industry is dying. My God, someone help me, the walls are closing in, my God! You see, gaming is dying, or the games industry is getting worse, is a statement which has quite literally been stated every year since the beginning of the medium. Man, I tell you, it is downhill from here. But it got me thinking, are people being angry and jaded for no reason? Or is there actually some truth to what people are saying? Okay, well, let's talk about it then. So firstly, to start with the side of people who think gaming is dying, the medium is only getting worse, and the fact that we don't have a proper Resident Evil 4 remake for Bully in 2025 is enough proof that the medium is doomed and only getting worse. Well, they're kind of right. You see, looking at a few major points, starting with AAA, I would argue that the state of AAA gaming is currently the worst it's ever been in gaming in, well, most recent times that I can think of. But hey, let me know if I'm wrong in the comments below. You see, AAA used to be seen as the premium for the industry, and whilst it still definitely is the premium, and I'm not saying AAA is bad, it's not really held in the same regard as it used to be. It feels like AAA now doesn't have the same weight it used to have when you'd say it's a AAA game. Or if you know your Ubisoft, the weight of the quadruple A scene just doesn't have the same weight to it anymore. AAA games nowadays, from the consumer's perspective, are a big gamble because you're either A, getting an absolute masterpiece, B, getting something kind of or C, you're getting a game that you think is a money laundering scheme, because how can these games have cost this much and be this bad? I know money doesn't mean good, but come on, you get what I'm trying to say here, right? Like, not to be the guy who's dunked on Concord for the 800th million time, because I get it, it's boring, right? But like, seriously, how could this game have cost $400 million or pounds to make? Like, how are they going to make that back? And I'm not even just saying this in like a rude or offensive way, like how? And speaking of making that, that actually brings me to another one of my points. Firstly, games now just cost an insane amount of money and time to make. I'm not going to do the thing where I tell you Pong cost $100 to make and now games just cost insane amounts to make. But instead, let me use a recent example of just how insanely expensive game development is now. Back when Call of Duty Black Ops 1 was being made, not my favorite one, by the way. My favorite one's probably Black Ops 2 or probably actually Black Ops 3 for the zombies. But hey, it's, you know, you can't really go wrong with either. Back when Call of Duty Black Ops 1 was being made, it cost around $18 to $13 million to make. There's no sort of... Now, I say 18 or 13 million, there's no really dead set number. Every resource goes from 18 to 20 to 30. Like 30 is the max and 18 is the lowest I've seen. It released and did incredibly well. It made over $350 million in just 5 days and in under 2 months made $1 billion. However, if you fast forward to Black Ops 6 now, the cost of that game was $700 million. If the sources are true and it did cost $20 million for Black Ops 1 to be made, in under 15 years, development costs of games have risen over 3,400%. I mean, that's just flat out insane. Like, that is crazy. And it's not just COD as a series which costs this much to make. More and more games are constantly becoming more and more expensive to make. I mean, hey, there's probably even series that you are watching at home that you love that cost hundreds of millions or even just millions to make. And I mean, it's kind of just setting these games up for failure. Because not only are these games costing a lot to make, they're also having a boatload of development time sunk into them. So it's kind of getting to the point now, essentially, where the risks are heavily outweighing the rewards when it comes to payout for these games. Okay, dear viewer at home, let's play a game. Let's say you make COD for $700 million. How are you going to make that money back? Please take your time. You know, I want you to really lock in with this answer. Really? You put this down? Okay, right. Well, if you answered A, by making a great game that everyone buys and everyone plays and loves and, you know, it does well commercially and critically, well, you're wrong. Horrifically wrong. Never ever write something that stupid again. You see me? I'm coming to you right now. The actual answer, and to whoever wrote this down, well done. The actual answer is answer B. by making an okay or even actually quite good game, but then filling it to the brim with so much microtransactions and exploitative game design practices that the game itself is a borderline cash shop or predatory casino with a game in the background. And this brings me to another point. The absolutely disgusting predatory game design and just manipulative microtransactions in gaming now is just flat out disgusting. And sadly, this doesn't even just apply to AAA anymore, like it's everywhere. I mean, we have an entire genre of games called gacha, which are just glorified gambling with hot characters, yet people want to try and say they play it for the games or the story or the gameplay, but then this is the gameplay you see.
So you're the one who lost Boss's goods. Boss sent me to repay you.
I know what kind of person you are. Just admit it. There's nothing wrong with it. But just, hey, just admit it. I mean, the problem with predatory practices and microtransactions in gaming now is so apparent it could be a video on its own. But really, to kind of just drive home this point, let me show you something. 58% of the revenue for PC gaming, not just like Steam or Epic or anything like that, the PC worldwide fucking systems, 58% of the revenue came from microtransactions. And to top it all off, we have games just getting way more expensive, which is a topic and should be a topic that I do a video on in itself. But just to save my dumbass from just rambling and turning this like trying to be a short video into like an hour-long ramble, we're just gonna keep that there. And I'm actually kind of interested in what you guys think about that. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys in the comments because I know this is kind of a divided opinion. Some people are very for it, some people are very against it. Oh, well, it sounds like from everything I've just said, that gaming is not only dying, there's no chance in hell it redeems itself or saves itself, and we should probably jump ship and try and find another hobby, right? Well, not exactly. Whilst everything I've just said is true, and the AAA space isn't looking great, the indie and AA space is just doing incredibly well. And I would argue it's not only the best it's ever been, but it's currently the best place for a gamer to be. Back in the early years of gaming, you could be a pretty hardcore gamer and not really have played that many indie games, but nowadays, if you aren't playing indie games, you aren't just missing out on some incredible experiences, but you're not, right, hold on to your hats here. You're missing out on some of the best experiences that not only this medium has to offer, but some of the best experiences and life-changing experiences you can have from this medium. And I mean that, like some of these games will change the way you think of life, see life, or just really interact with life. Indie and AA games are made by people who love the medium. I'm not saying AAA devs don't love the medium, by the way, because they do, but I'm saying this because usually there's restrictions when it comes to AAA games, but indie and AA, those devs just get to go crazy with the love they have. Wait, indie and AA developers 9 times out of 10 don't have corporate or financial people telling them that, hey, you know what your farming simulator is missing, indie dev? A gacha system. Or hey, AA dev, you know what your medieval game's missing? An exploitative predatory gaming practice design element. Let's chuck that in there, come on. No, they don't have any of that, so they can usually keep their vision as pure as they want it to be. Indie and AA gaming really is where it's at currently, because when it comes to creativity, storytelling, wild-ass addicting gameplay, or just great gameplay, or weird gameplay, and just some of the most insane games you've ever played, Indie and AA really does just offer some of the most insane, bizarre, and great experiences from the medium possible. And look, I'm not going to be one of those people who tell you to play a game no one's heard of and then say it's better than GTA 5. Look, we all know that type of person who listens to a band who's got like 100 monthly listeners on Spotify and it's like, oh, dude, these guys are so eclectic. Really, their sound is amazing. You know, they're next up. They're so much better than the current big bands. It's crazy because we know they don't actually mean that. They're saying these things to sound cool. I'm walking to the camera again because I know I'm talking about someone watching this video or someone out there. You know someone like this. Stop being that guy or girl or whoever or whatever. I'm sick and fucking tired of it. I went to uni and I met so many people who were like, oh, the Arctic Monkeys. Oh, no, I'd much rather listen to this indie band. And they couldn't even name 5 songs. They wouldn't even be able to name 5 songs. They just wanted to sound cool, sound pretentious. God! Okay, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. I can't even be that person anymore because the indie and AA scene both get the love they deserve. I mean, this year alone, Expedition 33, which is what many people are calling not just one of the greatest games this year, but one of the greatest games of all time and a true testament of what modern gaming and gaming as a whole can be is a AA game that came out this year. Side note, I'm like 30 hours in and my God, is this game good? And Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which is a game that is as immersive and enjoyable as a game like Red Dead Redemption 2. Yes, I said it, fight me. These games are not only selling just millions of copies, but critically and commercially, they're doing insanely well. And they're just proving that, hey, indie and AA is insanely great this year. I mean, these two probably going to win Game of the Year, one of them, or maybe Death Stranding. I mean, that's I'm not going to pretend like that's not a good AAA. You know, we're not hating AAA in this video. You know, I mean, Death Stranding's kind of crazy, but not for everyone. And hey, to drive home the point even further, if you haven't got it by now, the year before this, I mean, Predatory, which is quite literally one of the most addicting games I've ever played, which took the whole one more game to a whole nother meaning, was touted for Game of the Year by almost every other outlet, or every outlet and their mother. And a few years before that, one of the greatest games of all time, Hades, won Game of the Year, like the full-on award. And also, not to mention, but some of the greatest selling games of all time are indie. So, after everything that has been said and done, is gaming dying? Well, not in the overarching sense of things. Indie and AA games are constantly not only proving that the medium can bring a bunch of joy to people, but they're also proving that the medium as an art form is evolving and moving forwards. And I mean, hell, there are some AAA games that are also proving that, like a bunch of these. However, I will say people's fear for the medium getting worse is actually a very valid fear. And I would argue we're honestly in a very interesting time period for the medium. Some game design practices and monetization systems are truly disgusting, and hell, there are even some studios out there that are hiring psychology experts to figure out how they can better exploit their players and fan base. Yes, that is true, by the way. And truthfully, whilst gaming is only getting bigger and there is more financial gain to be made, I feel like these practices are only going to get worse. And I also think when looking at the AAA space, it's kind of in a dangerous spot. With more and more games taking millions or even hundreds of millions to make, and the development time for these games getting longer and longer, it kind of feels like if a AAA game nowadays doesn't sell instantly hundreds of millions or isn't just massively profitable, it's seen as not good enough or even a failure. We're seeing it constantly now where a lot of big projects are getting scrapped because studios know the game won't make a big return. A lot of big projects are regarded as failures purely because the time and money put into them isn't seeing a huge return, even if it does make a small return. And hell, even some games which do sell well are regarded highly, commercially and critically, are regarded as bad because the game is a one and done type of game instead of an infinite pool of money for big studios. And this kind of leads me to my point. With more and more games being made and more big studios taking massive swings and missing, this just isn't sustainable. And I really am interested to see where the gaming industry, well, particularly the AAA landscape, is going to be in a few years or even decades, because we're seeing so much money being poured into games and the return just not being there. We're seeing so many studios being made and destroyed because the return isn't being there. We're seeing so many projects scrapped before they've even really begun the kind of development stage because they already know the money isn't gonna be there. However, I don't want you leaving this video thinking gaming is doomed and it's dying. Financially speaking, gaming is in the best space it's ever been, with gaming as a business or revenue or entity or whatever you want to say last year making 200 billion. And that's actually up from last year. And whilst I have ragged on AAA games a lot this video, there are still a lot of games being made by studios which are not only just truly works of art, but really test the boundaries for what this medium can be and can do. Ultimately, games as a whole have never been better. Unfortunately though, I do think gaming practices are not only the worst it's ever also been, but they're going to continue to get worse for a while. So you guys, I really do hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with what I said? Don't agree? Please let me know. I'd love to have a great civilized, keyword civilized, conversation with you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I don't know if I just said that, but I'm gonna say it now. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And guys, drop some ball knowledge on some great games people need to play, even if they're well known, just so people don't feel so jaded. I got 3 right now. I got Hades, Ghost of Tsushima, I think I said that right, and Surrounded. Those are some bangers. And Bix as well. All right, guys. Have a good one, all right? Have a good one, everyone. Hope you have a good one.